itemization changes, Hurricane,
Yep.
having the crit potential now. And so now suddenly in the LPL, the Kalista is spiking up. I'll have to check globally though. I'm not sure if she's as popular globally as
we're
she
getting
is
a
here.
lot of Kalista picks,
We have
especially
a ton of Kalista.
like Sangyun has been spamming it in Korea, so we're getting a lot of first rotation Kalistas globally. So.
All right, Frost, final thoughts. Who's going to take this game?
I think the win condition is if Fury gets a hyper carry,
You're hitting win
soon in
condition.
gaming. Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, this is
Alright.
what I
As an
asked.
analyst.
Get out of here, Raz.
Alright,
You're
alright.
here for the cast.
The
Plus you're-
soon in gaming win. If Fury doesn't get a hyper carry, Newbee got this in the back. I believe Swift.
There we go.
All right, there we have it. So Suning Gaming versus Newbee. Now you have your time to shine, Raz.
I'm just waiting for punch statements. I want to hear I've got Swift or I've got a void list. I wanna
Hold
hear
on.
Win conditions
This man
on both.
talking about hard statements when you pulled out when we were talking about bets the other day.
Alright,
I don't
there's
want to hear
hard
that from you,
statements
Raz.
And there's idiotic statements. I'm not
Alright,
getting into that
alright,
fun.
Let's take this off the field because
Alright,
for now
alright.
we have our champions select coming in.
I was pulling out the brass nuts
Caitlyn,
too.
LeBlanc, and Galio out from Suning. Well, Jace aims, of course, at the end. You were talking about that one in the break with Zach and Thresh aimed at Suning once more, which leads up your first pick, Elise.
Yeah, and so Newbee have locked onto that. Not only the pick, but the fact that you know, they're not committing the ban to Syndra and Jace. They want to do that. They're just forcing Suning in a position to say, all right, if you're not going to first pick a Syndra, which leaves you wide open in every scenario, you don't see anyone first picking the champion, then Newbee is going to look to pick it away. So this is going to be a good testing segment for Suning if they can go this game without a Syndra pick or a Jace pick. If they can't, then you'll see teams looking to focus in on Dian's pick and constantly put him in these awkward situations.
Frostgo's got to be laughing right now. Lulu gets picked in here for Newbee on their first rotation as well. So that would be their support confirmed.
And the earlier puncher is making, I mean, Thresh got banned here, so you don't get to see the first pick on it. So I want to see what Suning looked to pick. So it's kind of like the old meta, where you're just getting Zyra versus Lulu,
Karma.
yeah, all that nonsense, and just
Where's the Blitzcrank? God damn it.
Oh, you may even see it. No, you won't see it.
No.
But one big point, even just to hit on Dorn Shield harder, is that it has a 190% like gold efficiency just on first hit, because you have a lot of sustain off of it. So that's massive. Sure, it's just unique, so you're not going to be building like 2 or 3 Dorn Shield.
That would be
That's
disgusting.
never going to happen. But it gives you so much value that you're seeing like in EU. You see a Tristana, you see a Draven, you see all these picks that usually get completely harassed. And one of those picks, of course, is the Kog'Maw, which Newbee have picked up for themselves.
There's a bit of catch up here as well on the side of Suning. They did also pick up the Ashe alongside that Zyra that you did talk about, but also the fact that Newbee are drafting a slightly different type of composition here. Syndra obviously fits no skirmishes, but also a team fight, while definitely the Kog'Maw and the Lulu does trend towards a more 5v5 type of composition, but it does, of course, rely on these final 2 picks as Taliyah and Fiora banned away.
Yeah, and so Suning are going towards a heavy early game composition. Elise, Zyra, Ashe, all of them can create their own form of engages, and so Newbee's just saying, mid laner, Dian, what can you play? And I want to see Suning actually look to pick towards an Ahri, because Ahri, people look to pick that into the Syndra. It has a rough laning phase, but if you can weave in and out of vision, then you can look to actually threaten her positioning, threaten just constant pokes. So it's going to be a good test to see it. And I think, honestly, Dian can play anything and it will work, because there's such a heavy early game focus coming out of Suning.
Good bans from Suning. Alongside that, Fiora will be Kennen towards V. But it does leave up a Jarvan, so now it kind of puts Suning Gaming in a place where, like, well, we banned Galio and Fiora and Kennen, so I guess we go Renekton.
Yeah, that's the focus. And if they do get a Renekton, remember, this Jarvan can go into the jungle. It is flexible. Now, if it goes into the jungle for the comp, I would question it, because I don't like Jarvan compositions, especially with lanes that don't help him thrive in the jungle, like look to get experience. Because if Kog'Maw and Lulu get shoved in, well, guess what? Jarvan's going to have a few visits himself, so no, that's going to be Jarvan top.
And it will be Caston for the mid lane, taking one of Korn's picks up against him as well. So it will be Syndra up against Caston in the mid lane, while Newbee are looking for their jungler now. Lee Sin is up, Lee has been taken. Zach is also off the board, so Lee Sin definitely would be the next one, and indeed it has been locked in.
All right, it looks like Suning has taken a few notes from Newbee throughout the entirety of the best of 3. Sao picking up Renekton, which has been a pick for V in Game 1. Meanwhile, Kassadin being picked up. Now we get to see if Dian has a bit of Kassadin play under him. If if he can actually showcase the champion. It was easy for Corn because he was going up against a good, easy matchup for himself. But Kassadin to Syndra has some tough points. And with Lee Sin and Jarvan constantly looking towards you as a weakness, you might see a few visits coming onto the end.
Yeah, for sure. So taking a look at these compositions, pretty different from the first two games.
Definitely.
In terms of team styles, to say the least here, as
both compositions are definitely going to different strengths for these teams, where I would have expected a 1-3-1 composition coming in from Newbee. We saw it in both games of this best of 3. This time around, we're seeing a more team fight heavy 1-4 comp. And then you see the opposite section. We see honestly more of a 1-3 composition for of Suning Gaming. Now I want to see if this is a composition they can actually look towards and implement. It'll be a good test, but I do have a lot of faith into Newbee's playstyle around this. A lot of the champions are champions that they've played before, obviously. And the thing about Newbee's past is that they've tried out a lot of compositions throughout the prior split and the split before that. They haven't always been a 1-3-1, only doing that because they have Corn on this lineup. But they've played a lot. They seem to be the jack of all trades. I want to see if this is going to be comfortable for Corn, though. If he can play a team fight composition.
If they can make it happen in this game. Okay, so 1-1. Let's see if Suning Gaming can come out with a significantly... I was distracted very much by Deanne's smile.
Yeah, I was looking at it too. The suggestive glare of that man.
Very much. Everyone else, pretty serious faces. Apart from V, he's giving it a nice little smile there in the top lane. But, yeah, that was an interesting one from Deanne. Regardless, we're on to the Rift. Is this a different camera pan, or are we going all over the place? I know. We're back to basics, as we get to see the first dragon of the game is Ocean.
And it's a 5-point front too, so no one's going to be looking to push up. We haven't seen Zyra all too much at the beginning of the split, even in Demacia Cup too, so the usual tactic is to slowly walk up the lane so you can actually set up your plants with the passive.
Yep.
I guess it's an egg this time around, not so much of a plant.
That's true.
So he wants to be able to set that up, but it's good from LWX and P. Diddy to be able to just counteract that. He's not going to step on that. That would be suicidal.
Yep.
Give him a look. Give him a check.
Would be a lot of damage he doesn't particularly want to take.
That's going to be P. Diddy taking up Thunderlord, so he's going to be looking to harass more often rather than...
Wind speakers.
Exactly, looking to shield up LWX. I don't really have a preference on that. I think he's going to be in a tough lane going up against Ashe and Zyra. It's definitely not a proper lane for LWX and P. Diddy, so... I guess we're going to see if those trades work. I would have preferred the Wind Speakers.
Double ward in the bot lane on the same place from Suning, so that's a thing. And for some reason, P. Diddy is trading off against Yoon right now. And I would say that P. Diddy actually won out, so good job on that one. We avoided starting off on his blue buff. Xiao Ao going back to the top lane. Speak of Doran shields, as well as 3 of the starting items on the side of Suning and 2 on the side of Newbee, making 5 in total in this game. It makes a whole lot of sense in every single one of these roles.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments so far in the beginning of this split would be, I guess, Papa Smithy and the LCK making a Doran shield bet account perhaps throughout the entirety of one day. Say there's going to be 16 Doran shields by the end of this day. It was spot on because there were just too many damn Doran shields going out. You'd see 3 as a total for like one game. You're like, yep, this is happening.
It's almost like this item is a bit too good right now. It's just the fact you can buy 2 health potions with it. If it was 1 health potion, it would maybe be a little bit better. But 2 health potions, you're never going to get pushed out of lane.
Yeah, with how efficient it is, being at a 400 gold purchase, a little bit too much. So, of course, on PBE, just to be that PBE newsman, it's getting a bit pricier, 50 gold pricier.
Ah, perfect.
Oh, Swift not knowing this is going to happen.
Oh, Voidus is turning the corner. Oh. Hello, I'm Elise.
Oh, no.
Ready to die. I'm ready to get this kill. And the smite comes down as well. A Voidless. Great clarity in that situation. I think Swift was actually trying to get into the brush there, not on the side. And a Voidless. Big win for the early game.
Yeah, that was really smart from Suning Gaming. So you could see Fury and Yoon looking to move up, so if Swift tried to skirmish, tried to bring in his own teammates, it would be Suning Gaming to be able to get that first punch. Just didn't get the cocoon. If he was able to get that, that's a 100% kill, but he gets it this time.
From jungle to lane, burning Korn's cleanse in the mid lane. Avoidless is getting it all done in the early game.
Yeah, that's my favorite kind of Elise. You just know that he's going to go back to base after a certain point and first purchase the boots of mobility. Going to go to every lane, send his regards. You just don't want him to be able to get ahead at all if you're a newbie. He's just taking a second trip, this man.
He just keeps going. Time and time again. But Korn being cautious this time around. I know you're excited to talk about Elise as a Elise one trick yourself in solo queue right now, Raz.
That's how I climb. I actually name changed to jungling expert.
Yep.
It will tilt people, especially if I do poorly in a game. But that's
100%.
That's the risk I have to take.
Have you considered name changing to something along the lines of Elise? You know.
Nah, I already have the
Spider
Y
King.
I already have the YE Spiders logo. Anyways, that being said,
well, that was not as interesting as I may have hoped it would have been.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a love tap. So Fury just giving it the old good day.
and that's just Fury and Yoon having such good lane presence and focus. They know that their Pinus and LWX are walking them down, so they just hide Yoon, who is low, and here we go.
Here comes a Voidless, 2 tower shots down onto Xiao
They
out.
can kill him.
No, they actually can't. Repel comes up, Repel comes down. V is out of mana. They might give it a second shot though, because a Voidless is waiting on Repel cooldown.
Yeah, Repel cooldown, Cocoon cooldown. If they wait long enough, they'll be able to get this.
Dangerous from Xiao out, but they make it work. A Voidless doesn't even take the aggro. And that was very well played. It wasn't what I was expecting from the execution of that gank, but it's still first blood to Suning.
Yeah, that was not how I would have played it. I would have waited for cooldown on Elise so she can actually get out of there very easy. That's just Xiao Al having to burn flash now. Maybe they were just a little bit worried about the sustain that Jarvan was having, so he would out-sustain the gank, essentially.
Yep.
I don't think that threat was there.
But still, a kill is a kill, and trading a summoner for it is not going to be bad in Suning's book whatsoever. And plus that kill going on to a Voidless, just making the Moby's boots pick up faster and earlier is exactly what he wants.
Yeah, it's going to be real fun for him. He has a lot of gold for himself. He might even just decide to not go towards the boots mobility. Because for him, the only lanes that he can focus towards is going to be top lane, bottom lane. Perhaps, okay, Cassidy is level 6, so it's going to be easier for him on that front. But you might see him go towards a finished jungle items, just get more AP down out there. We'll see.
But Raz, you realize what you just said.
What did I say?
A Voidless, the only lanes he can gank is every
All
lane.
right, fine. It was only because I took a second glance at Cassidy. And I was like, you know what, he's level 6. That's actually incredibly easy. I don't know where I was going with that one. But I just want to see if what's his mindset going towards, like, just the first fast purchase of the AP? Not at all. He actually does go towards the boost mobility.
You know, I'm happy to say we were both right, because he did pick up an Aether Wisp, and he picked up the boost mobility.
Hey.
So he did get the AP in there.
But Aether Wisp gives you that movement speed, so you know what? He's just doubling down on that one. He's a fast man.
Very fast in that spider form. Korn did not do a lot of damage to Dian there in that middle lane. He's picked up his Catalyst as well, so he's fairly tanky.
Yeah, he was looking to just stun him up. He couldn't get the initial stun, but Korn.
Oh, just the tip was not enough. A little too short there.
Yeah, he had a lot of movement speed. He actually could have walked him down a little bit, but that's just him thinking he had max range, so I don't blame him on that one.
Yeah, it was very close, regardless. Pinus, bit of a trade there. Gonna be okay. Swift is waiting for it. He's level 5, doesn't have the kick, but Dian is definitely in kill range as Korn has his ultimate.
Yeah, this is good. Swift doesn't
just outside of vision range.
But he's looking for the snare. Stun. If Korn can get this stun, nope, not gonna work out. Yeah, if the stun came down, then that's 100% a kill. But Dian was very cognizant of it. Really understood where the spear was. It's nowhere near it.
Okay. A little bit scared that a Spiling may have took that, but we're all good.
Yep.
It's just that one kill so far in this game as the second wave of buffs has spawned. Swift will be taking his red buff. Korn, where are you going?
Oh, yes. That's the plant changes, everybody. I mean, this is really, really far back, but I still love it. You can get that extra mana for yourself. But Korn.
Best of luck, mate. Pops the ultimate, looses the arrow. Ultimate comes down, pops the heal and the flash.
Ooh.
Everything exposed, and Xiao comes in anyway. Wants to get something happening, but a flash from Yoon. Bit of a bizarre sequence of events, and it just feels like the individual mechanics of Suning are so damn good. I see fantastic plays time and time again, but when these players try to coordinate, disaster strikes.
Yeah, it does not look good. That was just a play where they were trying really hard to get on top of Corn. Perhaps they didn't mistime the cleanse. Either way, it just seemed like it was too far off. I did still like that Fury was able to get away from all of the snare potential that Corn had, because at first he was able to lay down that sphere, and then he was looking for it, but then gets stunned out immediately by Fury's ulti. But then he throws down his ulti, or at least Corn does, to look for another opportunity to look to stun him down, but then he just splashes out of it. So Fury was playing it incredibly smart and just holding on to his cards up until the very end. Obviously, it's still strategically speaking, they lose out in flashes on Yoon, on Fury, and they lose TP on both lanes.
Yeah, lots of resources being burnt there from Suning, which definitely does hurt them. But Xiao still in a very good position as he pushes in this big wave. And Voidless is here for round 2.
There we go.
The stun lock onto V. Now he's finally out of it, but comes in with a flying and drag. He had to know that Repel was up. And we'll have to get... I feel like we've been here before.
Definitely a bit of the a replay. They don't have the replay graphic up yet. It'll come up at some point.
But this time, Swift and Corn were on their way up, and just the way that V was moving did tip Suning Gaming off. That being
Going
said,
for it. Here we go.
Swift is here though for the counter gank. How smooth can they make it? He drops low. V. Cataclysm comes down, gets the kill, flashes away. Can't make it happen against the 2 kills, but Diane just confirmed 1, turning that into a 1-for-2 trade.
Hands in his pockets and runs away. Diane at least makes something out of nothing. But fool me once, you know, shame on you. Shame on you. And then the moment it happened 3 times in a row, of course Newbee are gonna see it happening. They're gonna see it coming. So that was a great counter gank coming in from Swift. They were ready. They were prepared for that moment. Suning Gaming just has to get the gank off, or at least the dive off immediately. They failed that far too many times. You should wait on a Voidless. There is no threat of the dive being pushed away. Now this is the 3rd time it happened, so the threat was there because Newbee were reading it. They were reading the play that it was going to happen eventually. But in the last 2 plays, wait for Elise to come in, get her to have the tower aggro. She doesn't have to throw Cocoon immediately. Use Q, use auto, get tower aggro, snare, Cocoon, legitimately kill the man, and then repel up. It's as simple as that, but apparently not to Suning.
Hello, Corn. Gets hit up in the mid lane, but it's Diane who's actually the one in danger. Will jump away with the Rift Walk and the flash as the foot just turns the corner, finds Swift. Spilings are going to town as well, and we're good to go for now. It's 2-2 on the scoreboard and a very even game, but these constant misplays from Suning are going to add up over time.
Yeah, Voidless right now, he's just going to be looking to farm up as much as possible. He doesn't have a lot of camps up and available for himself. It's only the Krugs and the Wolf camp, both of course pretty far off away from each other. He needs to just get to his AP item for himself. If he doesn't get it, Swift, who has just been farming for himself.
Arrow loosed.
Okay.
He's pinged the location.
Oh,
not quite.
That was close.
It was very close. Almost got it, but Voidless caught out in the midst of that. The last little tap will finish off the little spider.
I'll tell you how much that hurts.
How much, Raz?
It hurts a lot. A Voidless, I already told him he just needed to farm him up because his former gank did not work. He's not doing damage at this point. And then he fails, or at least the team fails for the next play. And so now he's put in a position where he's like, all right, I really need some farm under my belt. So I'm not coming into these next couple of plays under-leveled with no gold on me. So a Voidless is behind. Officially, you can put a stamp on it. The guy is not doing a lot of damage right now. He's in a bad spot.
And that's the problem. When you go for the mobility boots, it's hype, it's cool.
Yeah.
If you get the ganks to happen, then fantastic. You snowball out of control, your laners are in great shape. You go for these skirmishes, you get the picks, you play to your composition, and suddenly Suning Gaming find themselves with a first win in the LPL split for themselves. But
sounds good,
doesn't it?
It
does.
I
would definitely, I would buy that. You know, if that was a description given to me, but it wasn't what it said on the tin.
Yeah.
There was definitely some small print in there, and Newbee now in such a good position for themselves. Now I am trying to figure out what's going on here as Xiao Ao is proxying the wave.
Yep.
And stopping B from coming to lane.
That's what I call disrespect.
He might actually pick up first tower here off the back of that. We have to see. Time will tell. I really want to see this. Okay, finally we see it. But
get out of there,
this is gone. First tower of the game. 650 gold in the bank. When it all looks lost,
my God.
It's play after play. It's the arrow connects in the bottom lane. The CC chain. And a kill in the bottom. And a tower on the top. Suddenly Suning in a great position.
Now, I was wondering if Suning were going to use that ultimate CC bottom lane of Ashe and Zyra to their gain to look for the next play, but I guess they just found themselves a fish in the pond of Finu's trying to get some wards killed in the river. Made his travel back, but his cargo was raided.
Was indeed. Taken out in transit.
Yep.
Did not reach its destination. And a couple question marks there for the side of Newbee as the action just does not stop, does it, Raz? As Diane is getting chased down in the middle lane. Stun connects, but he's over the wall. Swift, how did you connect that? Jumps in after Diane, but maybe should have held onto it for a couple more seconds until he uses the Rift Walk, because now it's Xiao Ao coming into the mid lane. He does have his flash, and he wants that Ruthless Predator to come down, but Voidless a little too far away. So this time pulls out from the play. And again, we do have to criticize the TPs and the synergy from Suning Gaming in these small skirmishes, but they are still ahead.
Yeah, it's super underwhelming coming out of Xiao Ao. So far, 3 games, this one being the 3rd, where TP is just not looking good. He's either canceling TPs when he needs to stick to it, or he's sticking to the TPs when he needs to get canceled. Legitimately the wrong play every time I see him use it. So
same story for Diane, honestly.
That's true, that's true. Diane has come out a little better, though, just off of his own mechanics within the lane, but some TPs come out well. It just feels like Xiao Ao hasn't been performing so much on that communication front. But his own lane, he's doing just fine. It's a good matchup for him, fair, but he's able to output the pressure constantly. That's something that a Voidless will have in the back of his head. Maybe he looks topside to completely demolish, or at least try to constantly look at the pressure. But I think what we're going to see, even though Xiao Ao does not have TP, is the focus being turned onto the bottom lane. Oh, here we go.
This is about to get a little bit spicy here in the bottom lane. And Yoon looks like he's going to be left to the wolves here. Fury will get out alive, but it's a nice collapse from Newbee. Lots of resources burnt, however, a flash, an ignite, and a TP, but a kill nonetheless.
Look at this. The man is walking 500 miles and 500 more from the top lane all the way back to the bottom lane.
Every single time, man. That's what happens. Turn the corner. It happens being Ashen and Lee's ready to get you.
And Renekton's long mile, his long marathon is worth it.
Oh, Swift jumps away. Big kick. There you go. Have this one for Christmas, Elder. We've actually gotten one. Turn it around. Moves on to Fury.
Oh, no.
Does he have it? He has to pass him. Does Ashe have the flash, though? She's already used it. This might be a kill confirm in the bottom lane. Not quite. Meanwhile, Korn trading off against Diane. The jump after the ultimate use. Last auto to come in. Diane with the kill. A 3-for-1 trade to Suning Gaming.
And that could have turned in the opposite direction, but Fury and Diane living off of nothing. Yeah, Korn has a hand on his head. He's feeling pretty frustrated off of that entire ordeal.
Let's see that bot lane one more time, because we were calling it, but we didn't see it on our screens.
And that's Renekton making the long trek, so Suning just staying a little bit longer, waiting for Xiao to come in. It's sure LWX played a good game on that one. He played it well, be able to answer back with a kill, and he should have gotten another one. But potions were running through on Ashe, and she's able to survive just a little bit longer. And of course, we're going to be focusing on this 1v1. Korn and Diane, so damn close, and that's all that counts. The last auto.
That's all she wrote in that trade, but it's V getting chased out by Fury. Now, I don't know where you were going, buddy, but you were not going to a safe zone. Quick kill there for Fury. And in a matter of minutes, 2, 3, Suning Gaming go from botching their plays to Newbee now being significantly behind.
It's a definite back and forth, and you gotta respect both teams for just all-inning on that one concept, that one play. I keep harping on Xiao Ao, or at least Xiao Ao, coming from the top lane all the way down to the bottom lane for that play, and it's because that's a really risky bet. That was Newbee winning out in the initial play, but sticking around long enough for that work because there's no vision from Newbee to see him making that trek, because he just doesn't have TP. But they stick to it, and they come out ahead on that. Now they have a 3k gold lead, where initially Newbee were coming out ahead in this early lane.
Yeah. This is a messy game, Raz.
Oh, I like to call it a special game, my friend. a fun game, perhaps.
And what does the special mean, Raz? Messi?
Special can mean whatever you want it to mean. All right, you don't have to put a definition on special.
Trying to beat Raz into an answer here, and he's not biting.
Special doesn't have to be in the dictionary, and yeah, it is. But we don't have to read that part of the dictionary, my friend.
Okay.
I can create my own dictionary.
Just need to read the word, not the description.
Yep.
I see you.
I'll create a Raz dictionary with special in it. Only problem is,
oh, I'm ready.
It doesn't have a description. Doesn't have a description. It's just the word special. Nothing there. You make what you will with it. If you purchase the book, you can write down with your own pencil what special means.
Oh, is there some lines there? Unfilled.
Unfilled.
Ready to go.
It's the
Comes with a
ad-lib
free
dictionary.
pencil.
Yep. It's a crayon instead, just
It's
to make
a crayon.
just to make it a little worse.
I would 100% purchase that. We'll make it happen. New LPL merch ready to go for 2018, but soon in gaming need to do some type of response, as this is a mountain dragon going over to Newbee.
Ooh.
Nice stun coming in from Corn. He might get the assassination.
He's got him.
Yes, he does, with a cataclysm coming out from V as well. Maybe a bit of overkill. As Corn also fell there, didn't even notice that one. As Swift getting caught out by Zhao. Ow. And it's just pick after pick, not even a real fight. And it feels like we all saw that a mile away, but Newbee did not.
Yeah, Corn saw his target. He wanted you. He really did. The man was so juicy. Had no HP to his name, so he's like, I'll just burst him down, but immediately he dies, and he needs to stick alive for these fights. The longer he's alive, and yeah, down goes that tower, the next one's going to have a bit of a problem with itself. I'm going to wait for it. 1, 2, 3. Oh!
There it is.
Hits him up.
You know, I always feel like we could save the Rift Herald for a little bit more, because the tower would be almost dead if that was the initial charge.
I agree. I agree with you.
Maximum potential not being utilized by poor Herald.
This is when you get into the training mode. You just start practicing Rift Herald.
Herald did not get out of bed in the morning for this.
I guess so.
Time and time again.
Yeah, just a hitting. I guess overall, Sin in Gaming coming out ahead simply because they're playing a slower game. LWX would love Corn to be alive for at least 5 seconds longer so he can actually put out a few more auto attacks uninterrupted.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be interrupted because Corn's down at the beginning of the fight. Well, LWX is the main attraction at that point.
There's definitely been some time added on to the ticking time bomb that is LWX, and I'm not even going to talk about the fact that Soon in Gaming just left their mid lane wide open and just allowed Newbee to take that for whatever reason. But LWX is in a good shape in terms of his farm. He's got a kill, he's got an assist, but his natural predator on the map, Dian, with Kassadin, is 4-0-1. Now that's very concerning if you're Cogmo right here, and even though he's gone for the Merc Tread and he's just picked up his double items, will he ever be able to get the damage off?
That's a good question. What's fun to me is that the items that's already being built. Remember when Corn actually got the Kassadin for himself? He had Rod of Ages, Lichbane, go from there. It's actually the opposite in this front where Dian's gone. Rod of Ages, Zhonya's, and he's going from there into the Lichbane. So that just means that he's going to be a lot more of, I suppose, a playmaker in these fights. He's going to just jump in on a flank, get the initial burst off, Zhonya's, wait for his cooldowns, and you can see where that fight goes from there. So perhaps he's going to be looking to focus on these team fights and getting skirmishes, or at least these flanks across, rather than just sticking to these side lanes. Because if he had Lichbane earlier on, yeah, he can stick to the side lanes. He'll be doing so much trade burst, so much trade damage. Now with the Zhonya's, seems like he has a bit of a team fight mindset here.
For sure. Though he is going towards it now.
Yeah, he'll get it.
Yeah, he will get it rather quickly. 20 minutes into this game, the guy has 2.5 items, so we don't need to be too critical of him, but I definitely do agree.
Woo!
Arrow flying past, whistling past the ear of LWX, so he's going to be counting his blessings on that one. Did not connect, but we can toss those out whenever we want to.
And I'll tell you right now, that's the type of arrow that will scare you to bits, because that's the type of arrow with the skin that's currently on Fury on the Ashe. We just don't know where that hitbox is.
Oh, well, Swift, right, walks right to avoid this, which seems like it's getting turned around, and the last orb will take him out as Corn has to flash away. V dropping low, but he'll use the Cataclysm before he goes down. Nice kick from Swift onto Fury, and a living artillery for the kill. Meanwhile, LWX just melting whoever comes in front of him. 3 kills to 1, favor of Newbee.
And that was played so well from everyone involved in Newbee. Even though that was Swift getting picked off, he still survives. Even gets a nice Lee Sin kick on Ashe into the team, where Fury is immediately demolished. And so when Kassadin tries to get any bit of burst off, it's P. Diddy who's actually just immediately polymorphs him. So everyone did their part on Newbee, and guess what your reward is? Mr. Baron Nashor himself.
23 minutes. Big win to Newbee. And you make it happen when it counts.
Yeah.
There was a lot of small trades that didn't go their way, but when there's a Baron on the cards, then suddenly Newbee in a much better position. And as we said before, this is the definition of a back and forth game.
Yep. It's an actual special game if we haven't if we've seen it before. You'll never know what my definition of that, but we'll take a look at the replay. Avoidless and Dian, they get right on top of Swift. He survives off of it, but Avoidless is not going to. The man is incredibly squishy, and so you can see how difficult it is from there. The amount of damage that's gone onto Jarvan, but he's able to get out of it immediately. And oh, we're just gonna get a backstage access on this one. Ashe gone. Not gonna come out surviving on that front. And so it was incredibly stylish from LWX, incredibly stylish from Swift that they were able to come out of that one ahead because they didn't start that fight off on a good footing.
And he did not, but they definitely finished it well. They stuck the landing. That's what counts. Newbee now, still with this Baron, have not made any proactive plays with it just yet. Though there is a Dragon spawning in 50 seconds, which both teams would like to get their hands on because it is the Infernal. Now, shout out. Stepping after V, but not a whole lot of damage is happening as the heal comes in from Shout Out. Also, Gargoyle Stone Plate collected by V. So he's going to jump into that fight and not take any damage.
Yeah, I want to see what Newbee do with this Baron Nashor now. They didn't have a good history with it in game 1. They didn't use it all too well. This time they actually have an excuse to group up with the Baron Nashor. So I want to see them actually look to group. Next objective is going to be that next dragon. I think it's going to be an Infernal Dragon. It's an Infernal Dragon icon, so I'm just going to assume that it is. Either way, they're going to be looking to focus towards that, and it's going to be up to Suning Gaming to try and deal with it. Now, they have a nice ward behind it. Maybe that's a ward that Dian is going to look to flank. He's top lane. We'll have to see if that's something they look to execute on. Now, they're going to give it up.
Yeah, it's going right over to Newbee. Do not feel like fighting them right now. Dian is still in this top lane, but he knows someone will be reacting to him shortly in the form of V.
And so he just doesn't have the Lich Bane ready for himself. It's taking some time. The last few fights haven't been very kind to him. Xiao Ao needs to get out of this situation.
Preemptive Dominus. Arrow misses, unfortunately, onto Korn. That could have been the turnaround they were looking for, but Dian is here anyway. Cocoon connects, and Korn is gone. Say goodbye to your mid laner. The chase continues. Dian slowed down from Force Pulse. That's all she wrote on that play. So just a nice pick over to Suning.
Yeah, wonder what they're going to be able to get off of that. The kill goes down, but there's no objective ready. What they could do now, they're just going to mass back because they need to recall into getting actual items for themselves. It's going to be Xiao Ao getting Gargoyle Stone Plate, which is a fantastic item. Well, actually, we don't get to talk about this item very often. True. It's the replacement for tank top laners. You can either go GA, which is just BF Sword, Cloth Armor, and then you can just, I guess, it still works in that fashion, just now you have to be a bruiser or an actual carry. Gargoyle Stoneplate means that if you are in the middle of 3 members, you can use your active.
Yep.
Has a nice damage reduction on top of that. So you take, or at least you are able to reduce 50% of damage if you get, what's it called, into your initial active. And then once you get out of it, because it just doubles your max HP, which is a fun little tidbit off of that. So it's nice to see him use it, because it's just an active focused item where the outright stats aren't really giving you too much, because it's 40 armor, 40 magic resist, unless if you're right in the middle of the thick of things, where it doubles that.
It's specifically meant for team fights.
Yep.
In those one-on-ones, you're going to get an extra 40% health, which is not as good. Still okay, but for the damage reduction, surely not worth it.
Yeah, you always want to have it as your third item. If you are a pure tank, then you go towards the Frozen Fist or the magic resist item, which is going to be, I guess, what is it called again? What?
Spirit Visage?
Spirit Visage would be the usual one. And then you go into it, because then you're just set to team fighting.
Yep, and you have the extra health.
Yep. So this kind of showcases what their mindset is. Because if he's going to be sticking to side lanes up against Jarvan with that item, he's not going to be able to abuse him that much. Jarvan's going to be in a fine position to hold wave. So you're definitely going to be seeing Suning Gaming looking for fights in which Renekton is going to be right on top of him. maybe that works out well for them.
We also need those creative flanks to come in from Dian, because he's finished the Lich Bane, and he's working his way to what looks to be a Void Staff. But he does need to assassinate LWX, because LWX is ahead of the clock in farm, ahead of the clock in terms of kills and assists and all the gold he has.
Yep.
And we saw the damage he did last fight when he was untouched, so it's a cold war at the end of the day. Suning need to do something about it. Corners waiting for Dian to carry on pushing. Where are you at, Dian? Do you want this extra minion wave? Some extra gold in your pockets? Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice. Think about Corn now. Is he spamming
he's
those
going.
spheres? He's lost just about like 30% of his mana.
Yeah.
If you're old Syndra, you can do that because you can carry multiple spheres with you and use it to increase your sustain, or like CC, I mean.
Yep.
Or like the range on it. With this one, you're only using it just so you can get more damage off your ultimate. So Dian finally gets to the top lane, but they've already dispersed. They've abandoned the plan. Even if Corn decided to stick in the lane, you don't want to have that 1v1 versus Dian. You don't have much mana to look to combat him anyway, so.
Yeah, not particularly. Plus, Dian has the level 16 power spike, whereas Corn does not. He would like to probably collect this minion wave and hit the level 16 himself. Is very important for him and his burst.
Yeah, level 16, and on top of that, the Lich Bane that he finally was able to purchase, going into, you already mentioned it earlier on, is going to be now going into Void Staff a bit. So once he gets those core items, he can look to flank very effectively. And I do want to see what LWX tries to deal with it. He purchased himself the Rage Blade here. So LWX is going to be doing a lot of damage, a lot of sustained damage. So he's going to be the primary focus for Sam.
100%. 20 seconds left on the Baron. Both teams need to group up for this. 1 minute 30 left on the next dragon, which is also going to be an Infernal. So big monster objectives to force these teams to fight.
Yeah, I wonder how Suning's going to play this one out. They need deeper vision so they can set up for a better flank for their TPs. Dian's TP is going to be coming up in about 40 seconds. So they're pushing in. They know they need it down. Xiao Al's TP is up and available. He's actually roaming down. He should stick to the lane so they can utilize this well. This is a tough one.
Yeah, clearing out wards right now on the side of Suning. It's pushing waves, trying to get vision, pushing side waves, making sure that you can actually push up in these lanes right now from these teams.
Yeah, so Cassidy pushing up that top lane wave means that they should be able to push in a little harder. But the mid wave is nowhere there. So right now, Suning are kind of unlucky because the wave's not in their favor on both adjacent lanes, top and mid. If they can get them both pushing, then they should be able to get a nice flank ward off. But it's just a little hard, so they're just trying to constantly push these waves in and get it going. No one's in the top lane wave, so it's just... on that front, it's a little bit poorly timed, and Cassidy's going to have to make his way out there.
Bot lane is pushed up, but Xiao Ao is taking away this blue buff right now. We are just waiting for probably someone to get picked. If I know these teams well enough, someone's going to walk into a bush that's unwarded and just die.
The best thing about both of these teams, they know exactly what the strategy is coming from Suning. So right now, Syndra is just waiting for that pick. You're like, yeah, who's going to walk up? I'm ready for you. Xiao Al, though, needs to get out of there.
He's getting slapped around, but I think he has a honey fruit to eat to stay healthy. So he'll go back to the bottom lane now. It's just in this 1 versus 1 against V. And Fury, I think, is probably actually just going to solo this dragon.
Yeah.
Ah, curious recall timing coming in from Dian, but he just had the TP. I guess he is going back for that Void Staff. I believe he must have enough.
Yeah, so this was smart from Suning.
Yeah, there it is.
There we have it. So that was smart, even though Dian had to back. That was all on the trust fall, knowing that Newbee weren't going to have any information on where these members were, right? They didn't know Fury was just soloing the Infernal Dragon because they were so focused on clearing these waves, or at least clearing the vision that Suning had in the top side of the map, because Baron theoretically could have been done at any point in this game, or at least in which Suning Gaming were clearing out topside. So it was good to see them, or at least Suning, going outside of that box, saying, okay, this is a little bit difficult, let's just take the dragon instead.
You also never get anything free in this world, Raz, so while the dragon was taken by Suning, the Baron vision was taken over by Newbee, and now Suning did quickly sweep in there, plays down to the control ward.
Get him out!
Swift also takes that one away before jumping back to his allies. So it's a bit of trade back and forth again.
And the trade back and forth, you mentioned them, or at least Newbee clearing the vision. It's only temporary because the pressure is still in Suning Gaming's court. So Newbee are just buying time for themselves. It's like, all right, now you have to regain vision once again. And maybe there's just that one moment in which Newbee can quickly clear out Baron, right? They do have a Kog'Maw. Maybe they can find that one moment where they clear out Pink. They go for the clear rush if they can find Suning Gaming not in the proper positions. Maybe that's their game plan. But for now, they're just scouting. They're being the warden of this pit and hoping that Suning doesn't start it anytime soon.
Okay, I have a pet peeve.
What is
thing that annoys me around Baron is we see Zhao also taking this bottom tower. If you are taking a sneak Baron with your team, and it has been warded, and one of your allies places down a control ward, do not hit the ward.
Yeah.
It reveals you.
Yeah.
Hit the Baron. Do not hit the ward, okay? Okay.
There we have it.
That was my public service announcement.
Clip it. Because I think... you just did it. But I think that's fine because they just want to get these wards out there.
No,
and
that's
know
fine. They're not hitting the Baron, are they, Raz?
Exactly.
That's when you do it.
Yep. In competitive, it's a good thing that they don't do that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing in solo queue when they see ward, kill ward.
I've lost so many Barons because of that. I've also taken many Barons because I see someone just hit a ward and it's like, oh, okay, thanks for that free information there.
Yep.
I guess I'll just go ahead and steal your Baron now.
The ward's down. Wonder how it's dead.
And you even see the champion kill it. So, just don't do it, folks.
Oh!
But LWX has turned this one around. Down goes one. Turn this onto Fury. 2 kills over to LWX. Unstoppable.
Are you kidding me? And Newbee are just making the run through. I don't even know if Suning wants this fight. They're just trying to push him off this tower.
I'm going to go with no Raz because LWX is back to full HP. And he is just tearing through everything in front of him.
LWX is a man. And I know that he had P. Diddy beside him. I understand that he was the featuring artist. But that was insanity. Just off the fact that Fury missed his ulti. He missed his enchanted crystal arrow. That one mistake cost them the fight, and it's costing them the Baron.
Avoidless, if he can get the steal, this is his one chance. I don't even think he wants it. He's going to back away. Not worth it in his book, though. There was a miss smite. Kog'Maw will pick that one up in the end. And we get to see that one more time. Fury whiffs the arrow, and from there on out, there is not a snowball's chance in hell. You are going to win against LWX.
And of course, Rage Blade and all, he's able to completely demolish Zyra, take down Ashe, and he has a Lulu beside him. There is no threat of him losing that fight. And it was all just off one mistake, one error. And that's just how close this game can be sometimes. That one misplay can really turn the game on its head.
Kog'Maw, folks, does a lot of damage. He definitely just ate that red buff. And yeah, at this point in time, LWX may be what Newbee need to just win this game outright. They have the Baron buff. Here comes the arrow, connects onto the Syndra. Avoidless comes in. The Voltas battling not gonna happen, but he goes up, and what goes up must come down. Right onto LWX, who just destroys both of those targets. V following after Diane. Can he get a range for the Cataclysm? The answer is a resounding no to that, but this is going to be at least one tower, and I sense an inhib on the horizon.
I don't blame Fury for looking for the pick on his ulti. I do blame Avoidless for flash E-ing on top of Syndra. No one's going to follow that up. And that is 2 people down, 30-second death timers. Dan Yoon and Xiao Ao are the only people that can defend this.
LWX, he's about to be unleashed. Turns it onto Yoon. Almost taking him out in just 3 swift auto attacks. Xiao Ao trading off against V. And Diane may be mounting enough of a defense. But LWX, look at the damage coming in here.
He's calling his team back. He's like, I could take these autos, even though...
Let's finish the game. I can do it.
Yeah. Trust in me, coach. I've got this. I know they're coming up in 5 seconds, but I'm so damn powerful. TP coming in from Diane. This could be the last stand for Suning.
But P. Diddy, he has the wild growth. Here comes Xiao Ao.
No.
He's backing away.
Oh, wait.
And, oh, well, hello. Diane is in backlines, but he didn't kill his target. And that's Zazania's coming in at the perfect time. Another kill over to Newbee, and it looks so dire for Suning. I'm not sure if they can even hold this next onslaught.
They're going to make the attempt. Diane's down. Xiao Ao could not deal with this fight. Sure, a lot of blinking red HP. It's only Pinus. Corn doesn't have much HP to his name. Here comes the fight.
An instant cleanse out there, Raz. So the Cataclysm comes in. The goggles don't plate means he's not dying in a hurry. And LWX vamping off these minions. And you thought you could get him before, but he comes up and he goes back down. Goodbye to the Renekton. And B, he doesn't need to do anything because the one-man army, LWX with the 1 kill. The second, the double coming in. And Fury gets to live another day. But down goes the Nexus. 2-1. Suning loses game and Newbee come out with the win.
And what a close set that was. Suning, the new LPL entrant, I mean, they're hanging their heads, but they shouldn't, because that was such a clear-cut set. It felt like there was one lesson to be learned. Suning can hang with them. But Newbee were just that much better at the end of the day.
That being said, Raz, Suning did have a good showing today. They showed us what they're made of, what they can look like when they get ahead. But if they can mop up some of those problems when it comes to that team synergy and those skirmishes, they could be a great team. But let's not take away from Newbee. Take their bow and come away with their first victory of the LPL Summer Split.
Yeah, they take the loss there. Newbee, you mentioned, take that one win. A little bit of criticism's coming from us in terms of their roster choices, but they still come out with the much-needed victory. So if P. Diddy's coming into this one, and if he's still learning on the field while still taking wins, that is still a major win for that team. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Welcome back to the desk for us, Kieran. Very hype ending to that game and that series, but Newbee did come up with a win in the end, even though it was a little bit dodgy for most of that game.
And this final game was really a story of 80 carries. It was Fury that was going off in the early game, you know, finding these really pivotal picks on the Ashe, arrow after arrow connecting, and it looked great for Suning Gaming initially. And then the Kog'Maw took over again. Kog'Maw just bridges into that late game. They got the Baron. It allowed him enough time, and suddenly, shoes on the other foot, it's now LWX who just monopolizes everything.
And it's so telling. You can see the gold graph in front of your face that it really spun out of control on that 1 2v2 in the mid lane. That one key skirmish that turned into a double kill of both AD carry and support, and then Newbee immediately pivoting into the Baron.
Yeah, I do agree. It was very flashy, you know, not dodging the Ashe arrow, but unfortunately the Ashe arrow just a hairline to the left before LWX just turns it on. But I still am going to give Swift credit, you know, in that big 5v5 mid lane right before the Newbee Baron took over. It was Swift finding Fury, again, another great insect kick to put him into harm's way. Yeah,
a lot of utility coming out of him, and of course Lee Sin is the prime pick coming in from Swift, but 33k damage coming out of Kog'Maw. So he was the man you wanted to play around, shield, set up, and they did just that. And he was able to come out with the win.
And frankly, there were so many threats on Suning's composition to deal with a Kog'Maw into the backline. You had a Kassadin who was massive. That guy got super fed very early. You had an Elise, also was participating in a lot of those early game kills. You look back to the top lane, Avoidless did wonderful work up there. And then you also had a Renekton. So Suning Gaming, they had all of the options to deal with the Kog'Maw, but were never able to make it connect.
Yeah, and the fun thing about the Elise and Renekton is that really early on, bane of Kog'Maw's existence, he wants to be able to get over that finish line, but once you get to those item break points, Renekton and Elise are the 2 champions that will get torn apart by this Kog'Maw and have no real way to be able to stick on top of him. So that was a great play to see how Newbee were able to elongate the game, get it to a point in which LWX is really comfortable with the setup that they had provided for him. And of course, you just saw him just styling on them. Once he got Rage Blade, he felt like he could take any fight.
Well, also because of P. Diddy or Penis next to him, he had a phenomenal Lulu game. That one team fight you pointed out, the 2 really key polymorphs. He polymorphed Renekton as soon as Renekton came in to jump on top of the Kog'Maw, and then Renekton had to disengage all the way back out. Yeah. And then he polymorphed the Kassadin as soon as Kassadin was like, okay, Renekton can't reach backline, here I go. And it just gave LWX so much confidence to step forward. And these are 2 players that normally you don't hype up on Newbee's roster. You hear Newbee, you're like, okay, Swift and Coco. Yeah. Coco's nowhere to be found, Swift did have a great game, but it was really the bottom lane that finished the series for them. And that's good news for Newbee fans, because it means that they're not just a one-trick pony.
Yeah, and in the end, it was the breakpoints on both teams, though, because you had mid lane, Caston was getting huge, able to assassinate LWX, but it's LWX who, in the end, hit those item breakpoints, no one could kill him. So, he will pick up the MVP here. And it did seem like a battle of the ADCs. Fury picked up his own MVP in this same series with the Kog'Maw pick.
And it's very easy to take a step back and be like, he's the Kog'Maw, he got the items, of course he's going to get the MVP, that's super easy, he just has to sit there and spit. But there are so many AD carries that we've seen throughout the LPL where even if you set up all the dominoes for them, they still have to have the confidence and the mechanical ability to knock it down and to actually step forward, plant their feet, decide that they are going to put on the big boy pants and carry the game. And LWX showed that he's one of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I was looking towards LWX and Pinus. My major point was to see if they can hang with Fury and, or at least Fury and Yoon. They did. In fact, they were able to come out far ahead in this set. So I like that they were going up against a very hyped bottom lane that were coming out of the LSPL and were able to just trounce them at the end of the day.
I do want to say, Raz, I appreciated your flair on Pinus. I feel like
we all say it in a different way.
You kind of have to.
But we don't say it in the one way that matters. So there you go.
I definitely did in that series, and no one noticed. So yeah, that one. But in the end, Newbee actually picking up the win. What did we learn about these two teams? Are we saying that Suning belonged higher than the bottom of the pack? Because they did put up a solid performance, but is it enough to actually take any of the teams that we've seen so far in Group A?
And this is how hard it is. You saw that game, right? Sure, Suning lost, but you saw how close it was. And I feel like that's just going to be the case with a lot of these matchups in Group B, where you have LGD,
that's the one.
OMG, a lot of these teams that are just, they feel like they're going to be skirmishes as well, scraps as well. OMG actually had a surprisingly slow-paced, smart game yesterday. Maybe that's just going to be a case where they come out a little bit, as we mentioned it, with RNG as the top two teams in the group. But I feel like the rest of these mid-card teams are going to be very hard to see if they do come out in the lower end of it or if they come out third place.
I mean, this seems to be the case. We were discussing this in power rankings. You know, we were like RNG, OMG, and then there's a cliff, and then it's everyone else, and we really don't know who comes out of that. You know, it's like the cartoon, the smoke is in all these fists, and you just don't know who's going to bounce out first.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take too much away from this game. It was very close, but, you know, no one looked definitively head and shoulders above anyone else. So we'll see how development happens.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. What did we think about mid lane as well from Newbee? Do we think that we want Coco back, or I think Korn looked fine?
Korn did look fine. That's the thing about Korn, was when he was on the LSPL team with Starhorn Royal Club, and he was sharing the same mid lane with Assassin, he came out as the better mid laner for me. And when he came out into the LPL, obviously in the set, he came with the same style. Sure, he brought out the Syndra as well, but he's still playing Kassadin, Echo. He's where we last left him, but he's still playing well for himself. Sure, you would want Coco back just because they built up a synergy. You don't want a spring split synergy, all of that time wasted. So we'll see where that goes. I think that I will favor Coco more than not.
Yeah, I'm pretty easy on this one. I think Coco is definitively the upgrade. Korn looked impressive on Kassadin, but he's just so meta reliant.
Yeah.
Not as flexible.
Yeah, we'll see if he comes back in the end. We are going to take a quick break before we set up for our next series of the day, and it will be Dom taking over from me on the desk, so we'll see you. Take 5.